Welcome to a tale that slithers between the ordinary and the extraordinary, a story that takes us deep into the heart of the Amazon rainforest, where nature often reveals its most unexpected surprises. Imagine this. A construction site buzzing with activity, workers focused on their task, when suddenly something colossal and otherworldly emerges from the underbrush. A giant anaconda moving slower than it should, its body marked by an unnatural bulge that defies explanation. What could possibly be inside? And what happens when humans, driven by curiosity and compassion, step in to uncover the truth? Stay with me, because this is a story you won't soon forget. Let's dive in together. When a giant anaconda appeared at a construction site, workers quickly determined that something was seriously wrong with it. The snake was moving extremely slowly and had an unnatural large bulge on his body. When a vet opened the animal to reveal what was causing the bulge, no one could believe what they saw. When workers called the vet, he decided he would come immediately. This snake needed to be operated on because there was obviously something in its stomach that shouldn't be there. It could very well be a life or death situation. When the vet finally arrived, he quickly sedated the giant anaconda. It wasn't the first time he'd done a procedure like this, but he was still very nervous. He was not within the walls of his clinic, but in the middle of the jungle. Anything can happen out here. When the VTI carefully opened the huge bulge in the snake, the contents were immediately revealed, and everyone's jaws dropped to the floor. How was this possible? But did the vet arrive in time to save the snake's life? What did they find inside the snake, and why was the vet so incredibly surprised by it? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. For a few months now, a new road in the Amazon rainforest had been under construction. Workers were working hard to ensure this new road was finished as quickly as possible, but it hadn't been easy. It had been a slow and difficult process. Getting materials to the site had been an enormous challenge due to the lack of available trucks, and the workers were way behind schedule. They'd started to worry because their employer was threatening to take action if they didn't finish the job on time. The workers knew they had to act. The workers decided to work even harder than before. When the workers were clearing the path where the sidewalk would go, one of them suddenly jumped back. He had seen something come out of the vegetation that scared him to death. Charles kept asking Olivia a lot of times if she was okay, but she always avoided his questions and got irritated if he continued asking. It was an anaconda, but not just any anaconda. It was the biggest anaconda they had ever seen. The workers were scared and surprised at the same time. What should they do? They already noticed that the animal was moving very slowly, but why was the snake moving so slowly? When the giant anaconda was halfway through the bushes, a giant bulge could be seen on its body, and the workers could hardly believe their eyes. They had never seen anything like this before. They had to act. With the snake now obstructing their ability to work on the road, the workers knew they had to do something. They decided they would have to call and try to get in touch with the nearest animal vet. When the call with the vet ended, the employee who called him reacted in shock. Then the vet had said that the snake could very well be pregnant and was perhaps getting ready to lay her eggs there in the middle of the newly built road. To confirm this suspicion, the vet had a dangerous task for the workers. She tasked the workers with trying to find out where the bulge is located on the body. To do this, the snake would need to be moved a little. Most of the workers were hesitant about whether they should actually do this. The brave worker decided that he would be the one to place himself into danger to ensure that the others would be safe. Then two other brave workers decided that they were going to pull the snake's tail to try to stretch it. This way, they would be able to determine precisely where the bullet was located. The two men equipped themselves with some of the toughest materials they could find, while the first brave worker joined them to distract the snake if necessary. Fortunately, it turned out that there was nothing to worry about. that the snake didn't resist and let itself be stretched almost completely. The workers could now see exactly where the bolt was located on the body. They called the vet to report their findings, but the vet's tone immediately changed when she heard where the bulge was. If the bulge had been due to eggs, it would have been located much further back on the body. The bulge was located at the beginning of the stomach, which meant that it was something that is probably stuck, unable to get further into the snake's body. But what could be inside that snake? The snake had obviously swallowed something it shouldn't have and likely needed immediate surgery to survive. They asked the vet for advice. Would she please come to help them? But for the vet, getting to the workers' location was a real challenge. She didn't know the exact location of the snake and the workers, plus it was rush hour, so she'd probably get stuck in traffic. Still, she needed to get there as quickly as possible to give the snake the best chance of survival. One of the workers proposed to pick her up, but that would take a long time. Fortunately, one of the other workers came up with a great idea. It ends there were still people in the company's warehouse who knew exactly where the workers were and how to get there. The vet agreed to visit the company's warehouse. After explaining the situation, a manager was willing to help her. They used the manager's off-road Jeep to cross the rainforest. The trip took about 3 hours in total. A journey during which the vet had more than once considered whether this snake's life was worth wasting a full day, plus potentially an extra one on it, and after 3 hours, she arrived at the snake. When she finally managed to lay eyes on it, she instantly knew that it had all been worth the effort. The workers also struggled with the length of time they had to wait for the VTI. Your fear became real. The snake had no intention of staying in its current spot. The snake was still moving very slowly, so the workers managed to block its way back into the depths of the jungle with metal plates that they had brought with them as supplies. But this measure had a major drawback. They couldn't encase the snake completely, so they had to keep moving to keep blocking a snake's path. When the vet finally arrived on the scene, the snake was still lying in the same spot where workers had kept it, but it became increasingly obvious that this would not be the case for long, as the snake had become very aggressive at this point. Why the vet had to act quickly and knew the only chance she had was to quickly sedate the snake. But sedating the snake was not without certain risks. There was always the risk that the snake might not wake up from it, considering the condition it was in. Still, seeing her so actively trying to attack the workers, the doctor was confident that she would survive the injection. The only thing left was to approach the snake with the tranquilizers. Theet waited for the snake to turn its head in the other direction. After that, she slowly approached the snake and quickly injected the sedative into the snake's lower body. Over the next few minutes, it slowed down more and more, and the vet was able to inject the snake with a few more sedatives that were needed for a snake this size to lose consciousness completely. Like after a while, the snake was completely knocked out. Some workers fell to their knees from exhaustion, and their heartbeats finally returned to normal. They had faced the possibility of death countless times during the past few hours, so they were relieved to have survived. Now the vet could finally turn her attention to the big bulge on the snake, the one she had come all the way out here for. She took her surgery kit from the big company warehouse Jeep and prepared it to start work. She quickly confirmed her suspicions by feeling the snake's body. There was an object stuck in the entrance to its stomach. The object trapped in her body was something the snake had swallowed and could not be broken down by the digestive system. The vet could only do one thing at this point. I contain micer was nothing else to do but carefully cut the snake and take the object out of it. Surgery always carries a risk, especially if that surgery has to be done in the middle of the rainforest. But there was no other option available. With the utmost precision and care, the vet opened the snake along with the bulge, and after passing through the skin and muscles, the origin of the bulge was finally revealed to everyone. They also realized that this was not good news for the snake. This box was the cooler box in which they kept most of their easily spoiling foods, such as meat However, the meat in this box had gone bad and had started to smell terribly, so they had left it outside the truck with. They still couldn't figure out how the snake found this cooler, as they thought they had kept it safe. The snake must have caught the scent of the meat and thought it was prey, swallowing it whole. But unfortunately, he had quickly learned the consequences of a mistake that could turn out to be fatal for the snake. With the cooler removed, the vet quickly began sewing the snake back together, and she did so. She also chipped the snake to track its movement and to see if it would survive the ordeal in the long run. They then woke the snake, hoping it wouldn't be aggressive anymore. It took a few minutes for the snake to wake up. It was still stunned and confused at first, but after a while it started crawling, falling much faster than it had done before the surgery. After the snake disappeared back into the woods, the vet had one thing she needed to do. She thanked the workers for their incredible effort to keep the snake and themselves safe. After that, she returned to the city where she had more patients waiting for her. To make sure the snake was okay, the vet did one last thing. She monitored the snake's behavior through the chip she planted. The snake was behaving completely normal. In the vet, it could confidently say that the operation was a success. Just saved the animal's life.